Hi, Dr. Keisha here. Fun Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday day. And I wanted to just talk about finding joy in parenting. I've noticed with a lot of my patients that come in to see me in the clinic that that's one of the biggest challenges that they have in terms of staying on their food plan and self-care activities and being able to really be present with what do they want out of their lives in terms of goals and purpose, because they get really wrapped up in caring for their children and thinking of it as a chore and something that's a distraction rather than part of life purpose. So I wanted to talk about a little bit. I have 4 children and I'm empty nested now, although a couple of them are living back at home at this point. But just there was several years ago when my oldest boys, my oldest children are boys, and they're now in their late 20s. I just remember when we lived in Utah, seeing them as they were looking at themselves in these full-length mirrors that were in our bedroom, so just floor to ceiling, and they would sit in front of them at the ages of like 1 and 3, and they would make faces as I was getting ready in the morning, and they would slobber and touch the mirrors. And I just found that every day I was going and I was taking Windex and I was cleaning up after them. And one day as I was standing there with my bottle of Windex and my paper towels, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm so irritated with every time I have to come along and clean up after my kids. And instead of getting down on the floor with them and seeing what they're seeing. And I resolved in that moment. I looked at my bottle of Windex, I looked at my paper towels, and I put them away. And I thought, once a week, I am going to clean this. I'm going to do this once a week. And the rest of the time, it's going to be my practice. And I'm going to view it as even a spiritual practice, to look at the mess and the clutter around me and say, let it go. This will pass, and someday I will actually have everything organized just how I want. In fact, that day has already happened. I had all my spices alphabetized and I had all my drawers organized, and I could see what I needed when I went grocery shopping. It was really nice, and my house was always clean except for my husband. And then my 2 daughters moved back in, and now all of that's gone again. And luckily, I've established the spiritual practice of letting it go. It just really doesn't set me off the way it did when I was in my 20s as a young mother. And so one of the other things I thought when I put away my bottle of Windex, I thought, you know what? I need to find more joy in motherhood, because my kids are going to see me as being a cranky mom, and that's not going to be good for them. So what am I doing as a mother if I'm crabby all the time because A, my day's not going the way I planned it. B, my house is in chaos. And C, they're not acting according to my expectations. So I decided that I would do some very intentional things each day to make sure that I was being joyful as a mother. And one of the things that we did is I created something called Fun Friday. And so that's what today is. I always call Friday Fun Day, because this is something that I decided years and years ago, really 25 years ago, to do. And what we did is we decided that every Friday we would come up with something fun to do, and we would go do it. And I would have the kids involved, but we would come up with if it was Cinco de Mayo. I remember one year, my girlfriend and I, who would join me in Fun Friday, I had a couple of friends and, sisters-in-law, just like I would always invite people to come with their children, and we would do this Fun Friday day. And I remember being at her house one Cinco de Mayo, and we had terracotta flower pots, and we had cut sponges into the shapes of like chili peppers and sombreros and sunflowers and things like that. And we had paint spread out on different paper plates for the kids, and they could dip the sponges after they'd moistened them into the paint and put them on the flower pots. And we had these flower pots that were painted by the kids that I still have a couple of them today that haven't been broken, that I plant my May flowers in on Mother's Day. So, it's just fun stuff like that you can then talk about what the real meaning of Cinco de Mayo is, so that they learn what it is and have some cultural learning as well as some fun together, and see you having joy. we had a family reunion with my kid's dad every year at a place called Bear Lake, and his family. There are 9 children in there, and so then they got married, and then they all had 4 or 5 kids, and so it's this giant chaotic, family reunion that was kind of difficult for me usually because I was raised with 2 children in my family, no television. It was very quiet, and they're all TV watchers, and it was just always very noisy, and so I would have kind of a hard time. And I thought, you know what, find joy in it. And so every year I would bring up these different activities like making dirt cups, and dirt cups were pudding that we could make, and now I'd make paleo pudding with coconut milk and no sugar in it, and raw cacao powder with avocados and as the base, and you whip all that up, and that's in my new cookbook, by the way. It's a chocolate mousse, and we would put that into clear cups and then do sugarless gummy worms on the outside, and paleo, you can make cookie crumble with raw cacao powder, and that would be the dirt, and then the kids would eat it. And we'd make homemade ice cream, and we can do, again, I have a paleo ice cream that doesn't have sugar in it inside of my new cookbook, the Quick and Easy Autoimmune Cookbook. And I just think that that left a lot of great memories for my children to be able to hold on to, so that at the times when I wasn't in my center and in my core and did get cranky, that there would also be this thing that they could count on, that they could consistently look toward, that was going to be fun with mom. And that also helped me throughout the week. We had Terrific Tuesday, and we had Wonderful Wednesday, and Thrilling Thursday, and Marvelous Monday. And so we would always have something that I would bring joy to in that day that could go along with chore time and all of the other things, discipline time, setting boundary time with kids, setting limits. But there was always joy. So I would say, what brings you joy? I want to hear about it. Let's make this a feed so that everybody can find joy. It doesn't matter if you're a parent or not, but what is it that you find that you feel least joyful in? Hi, Michelle. And do Fun Friday, Michelle, with your voice. So what is it that you find the least joy in, and how can you infuse that with joy? And that will make a huge difference, because science shows us that if you smile and you actually laugh, it changes your neurotransmitters. And you can change the whole physiology and biology of your body with just that simple act. So if your children see you smiling and enjoying and getting down on the floor and getting dirty with them more, then they feel safe around you, so that when you do set limits with them, they're more willing to listen. So have a really fun Friday, and again, share all of your Fun Friday tips for finding joy in parenting and all the other places in your life, so that we can all get ideas and move forward in our lives with joy. Have a good weekend, and happy Memorial Day, everybody.